Hey guys, here's a quick overview of the Strymon Iridium that we're using at Olmsted campus. This thing is basically a replacement for a stereo amp setup. It models several different amp types, Fender, Vox, Marshall, and then several cabinet choices for each. We're going to try to keep consistent with using the same thing week to week unless it doesn't work with your guitar. The best one I've found is the chime setting with cab C with roughly these settings, so drive around 9 or 10 o'clock depending on how high the output of your guitar is, level around noon. The room reverb for the output around 10 or 11 o'clock, treble, which is a treble adjustment on this Vox model around noon or 1 o'clock, probably 1 o'clock is better. Middle, which is like the cut knob on a Vox, around 11 o'clock. As you turn this one up, it cuts high frequencies. As you turn it down, it lets more through. So around 11 o'clock is kind of the sweet spot. And the bass knob, the low end, around 1 o'clock. So that's a good starting point. I would love it if we could all keep it roughly right here. That will make it a lot easier on the sound guys. If this is not working for you, you can hit this favorite switch, just press it and it'll light up. This is a second amp model, more of a Marshall sound, that also works well, but it would require the sound person to tweak some of the EQ at their end. So I would prefer we all stay on the Vox sound. Then we'll probably replace this cable eventually with a better one, but I have this 2/4 inch stereo. Gray is left, or tip is left, and orange or ring is right, ring right. That sums to a stereo cable here that has tip, ring, and sleeve. It plugs into this input on the Iridium, and then it has left and right outputs. So then there's also this switch on this that says mono, stereo, or sum. And if you have a stereo output from your pedal board, using this cable that goes into this stereo input, you can keep it on stereo. However, if you only have a mono output, one cable that has just a tip and a sleeve, if you plug that cable into here, you would want to switch that to mono. That's probably the best option if you only have one output from your pedal board. However, I would suggest that you try to use this if possible. Most delays or reverbs do have a stereo output. The other thing is if you had to sum to mono, which in this case we are using 2 outputs, stereo outputs, but if you had to sum to mono, it does have that sum input as well, or sum input selection as well. But we're going to keep it on stereo and go ahead and use a stereo output from your pedal board, with gray being left and orange being right, or tip being left and ring being right. Same thing. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm going to set this back up. I've kind of tweaked it. So 11 o'clock, noon, 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock on room reverb, 1 o'clock on treble, 11 o'clock on middle, bass at 1 o'clock, chime model, and cab C is what we're using right now.